The warning lights flashed red across Tae-ho Kim's control panel as his ship shook violently. He gripped the pilot seat tighter as another explosion rocked through the vessel. The engine core was failing, and he was still 3 days from the nearest human outpost. "Come on, hold together," Tae-ho whispered to his ship. But the readings kept getting worse. Smoke filled the small cabin as sparks flew from damaged circuits. He had maybe an hour before life support would fail completely. Tae-ho quickly checked his star charts. There was one hope, a small mining station about 6 light hours away. The problem was that it belonged to aliens, not humans. He had heard stories about alien species, but he had never met any personally. Some humans said aliens were dangerous. Others said they just wanted to be left alone. But Tae-ho had no choice. He activated his emergency beacon and aimed his dying ship toward the station. At the mining station, 3 aliens sat in the control room when the distress signal came through. Veltar was a tall insect-like creature with 4 arms and large compound eyes. He was the station's chief engineer and had been working on the mining equipment all day. "It's a human ship," Veltar said, his antenna twitching nervously. "The signal says 1 person aboard, life support failing." Knox looked up from his medical equipment. He was shorter than Veltar, with smooth amphibian skin that changed color when he was worried. Right now it was turning a pale blue. "Humans can be trouble," Knox said. "My people say they are unpredictable." The 3rd alien, Zek, was young for his reptilian species. His scales were bright green, which meant he was curious rather than afraid. "But he will die if we do nothing," Zek said. "Is that right?" The 3 aliens had worked together for 2 years. They came from different worlds but had become friends at this remote station. They mined rare crystals that all 3 species needed for their technology. "What do you think?" Veltar asked the others. "My people say humans are dangerous when cornered. Mine say they carry diseases," Knox added. "But look at his ship." Zek pointed to the scanner. "It's just a small explorer vessel. No weapons. If he wanted to hurt us, he would have brought a warship." They watched as the human ship limped closer to their station. Smoke was trailing behind it, and the engine was making strange noises even through the vacuum of space. "He's really going to die," Veltar said quietly. "We have empty cargo bay 3. Zek suggested. "We could bring his ship inside." Knox shook his head. "What if he attacks us when he wakes up?" "What if he doesn't?" Zek asked back. "What if he's just a person who needs help?" The 3 aliens looked at each other. Finally, Veltar sighed. "I'll prepare the bay. Knox, get your medical kit ready. Zek, help me with the docking clamps." Tae-ho was barely conscious when his ship was pulled into the station. The last thing he remembered was seeing strange faces looking down at him through his cockpit window. Then everything went dark. When Tae-ho woke up, he was lying on a soft bed in a room he didn't recognize. The air smelled different, cleaner somehow. He tried to sit up but felt dizzy. "Stay still," a voice said. Tae-ho turned and saw an alien creature with smooth skin sitting beside his bed. This had to be Knox, though Tae-ho didn't know his name yet. "You are safe," Knox said in broken but understandable English. "Your ship was very damaged. We fixed you first." Tae-ho looked around the room. It was clearly designed for aliens. The ceiling was too low and the furniture was the wrong shape. But it was clean and comfortable. "Thank you," Tae-ho said. "I'm Tae-ho. I'm a human. I am Knox. I am the doctor here." Knox's skin turned a warmer color. "Are you feeling pain?" "A little, but I'm okay." "How long was I unconscious?" 2 days. "Your ship had no air left when we brought you inside." Tae-ho realized how close he had come to dying. These aliens had saved his life. Over the next few days, Tae-ho met Veltar and Zek. At first, all 3 aliens were nervous around him. They had never seen a human before. But Tae-ho was patient and friendly. He thanked them many times for saving him. "Your ship will take maybe 2 weeks to fix," Veltar explained as they looked at the damaged engine. "We do not have all the right parts for human technology." "I can help," Tae-ho offered. "I know a lot about engines." Veltar's antenna twitched in surprise. "You would work with us?" "Of course. It's my ship and you're already helping me so much." Working together, the 4 of them made a good team. Tae-ho showed them tricks for fixing engines that their species had never thought of. In return, they taught him about their mining technology. During mealtimes, Tae-ho told them stories about Earth. He described oceans and forests, cities and farms. He explained human music and showed them pictures of his family. The aliens were fascinated. Your world has so many different environments, Zek said, his scales bright with excitement. My planet is mostly desert, and mine is all swamps, Nox added. Veltar's world is underground cities, Zek explained. Taiho learned about their cultures too. He discovered that Veltar loved solving complex problems, that Nox cared deeply about helping others, and that Zek was curious about everything in the universe. One evening, as they shared dinner together, Taiho taught them a human game using cards he had in his ship. Soon all four of them were laughing as Zek kept trying to cheat and getting caught. Humans laugh a lot, Veltar observed. Don't your people laugh? Taiho asked. Not like this. We show happiness differently. How? Veltar's antenna danced in a complex pattern. Like this. Taiho tried to copy the movement but only managed to wave his arms awkwardly. All four of them burst into laughter, or the alien equivalent. Maybe humans and aliens are not so different, Nox said, his skin glowing with warm colors. As the days passed, Taiho helped them solve several problems at the station. When their main computer had a bug, he suggested a solution that their programmers had missed. When a mining drill got stuck, his human creativity helped them figure out a new way to free it. You think very differently than we do, Veltar said. It's useful. Your species must be very smart to build ships that cross the galaxy, Zek added. We're not smarter, Taiho said. Just different. That's why working together helps everyone. Finally, after 2 weeks, Taiho's ship was repaired. He stood in the cargo bay with his 3 alien friends, feeling sad to leave. I wish I could stay longer, he said. You have your mission, Veltar replied. You must explore new worlds. Yes, but I want you to know you saved more than just my life. You showed me that different species can be friends. Taiho reached into his bag and pulled out 3 small items. To Veltar, he gave a small mechanical puzzle from Earth. To Nox, he gave a smooth stone from a human beach. To Zek, he gave a music player with human songs. To remember me, Taiho said. We will not forget, Zek said, his scales showing deep emotion. If you ever need help, call me, Taiho said. Humans don't forget their friends. As Taiho's ship left the station, the 3 aliens watched from the control room window. They had started as strangers who were afraid of humans. Now they were friends with one. Do you think we will see him again? Zek asked. Maybe not him, Veltar said thoughtfully. But I think we will see more humans now. And next time we will not be afraid, Nox added. They watched until Taiho's ship disappeared into hyperspace, carrying their human friend back to his people. None of them knew that this simple act of kindness would change the galaxy forever. 5 years had passed since Taiho left the mining station. The 3 aliens often talked about their human friend during their work breaks. Veltar had been promoted to chief engineer of the entire mining complex. Nox was now head of medical services for the sector. Zek had started his own trading business and was doing very well. Each of them kept Taiho's gifts in special places. Veltar had solved the mechanical puzzle many times and always marveled at human engineering. Nox kept the smooth stone on his desk and touched it when he felt stressed. Zek listened to human music during his long flights between trading posts. Other aliens at the station had heard the story many times. At first, some didn't believe it. Humans were supposed to be dangerous and unpredictable, but Veltar, Nox, and Zek insisted their human friend had been kind and helpful. You must have met a strange human, said Crix, another engineer. My cousin works near human space. He says they are aggressive and territorial. Maybe your cousin never tried to be friends with one, Veltar replied calmly. The 3 friends noticed that their positive stories about humans were starting to spread. Other workers at the station became curious instead of afraid when human ships were detected nearby. Some even suggested trading with human merchants. Meanwhile, in human space, Taiho had become a respected explorer. His reports about friendly alien contact had influenced human policy. The government decided to try peaceful approaches to first contact instead of sending military ships. Taiho's sister, Jiwoo Park, had read all his reports about the aliens who saved him. She became interested in working with alien species and trained as a diplomatic liaison. Her job was to help humans and aliens understand each other better. Your brother's experience changed how we think about aliens, her supervisor told her. Because of him, we try friendship first instead of fear. One day, a human merchant captain named Hyun-Soo Lee was traveling through space near the Calithian sector where Veltar's people lived. His convoy of 3 cargo ships was carrying medical supplies to a human colony. Pirates attacked them without warning. The human ships were not military vessels and had only basic weapons. 2 ships were badly damaged and many crew members were injured. "Send distress signal on all frequencies," Yunsu ordered his communications officer. "Any ship, any species. We need help." The signal reached Veltar's mining station. The Calithian workers gathered in the control room to discuss what to do. "It's not our problem," said the station commander. "Humans should protect their own ships." "But they are asking for help," Veltar said. "Just like my human friend did years ago." That was different. He was alone and helpless. These humans are also helpless right now. The pirates are much stronger. Veltar told the story of Tejo again. He reminded everyone how the human had worked alongside them, helped solve problems, and became a true friend. "If we help them, maybe they will help other Calithians someday," Veltar argued. After much debate, the station commander agreed to send help. 3 Calithian patrol ships responded to the human distress call. They arrived just as the pirates were preparing to board the damaged human vessels. The pirates fled when they saw Calithian ships. They didn't want to fight the bug-like aliens who had a reputation for being excellent engineers and tough fighters. "This is Captain Hyun-Soo Lee," the human commander transmitted. "Thank you for your assistance. We owe you our lives." "This is Engineer Veltar," came the reply. "We help because a human once helped us." Hyun-Soo was surprised. He had heard that Calithians usually avoided contact with other species. "A human helped you?"
"Yes, his name was Tae-ho Kim. He taught us that different species can be friends." Hyun-Soo's eyes widened.
Every human explorer knew that name. "Tae-ho Kim is famous among my people. He writes reports about peaceful contact with aliens. He is a good human," Veltar said simply. The Calithians helped repair the human ships and escorted them safely out of pirate territory. This was the first time the 2 species had worked together officially. When news of the rescue reached both governments, diplomats became very interested. Within months, Calithians and humans signed their first trade agreement. Veltar was invited to the signing ceremony as an honored guest. Similar events began happening in other parts of the galaxy. Nox's people, the amphibian Threnody, encountered human scientists who were studying ocean worlds. When the humans' research station was damaged by an underwater earthquake, Threnody rescue teams saved them. The Threnody rescuers had heard Nox's stories about the helpful human explorer. Instead of just saving the humans and leaving, they stayed to help rebuild the research station. The human scientists were amazed by Threnody underwater technology. "Your people are incredible engineers," Dr. Kim Soonja told the Threnody team leader. "We could learn so much from each other." "A human once taught one of our doctors that working together makes everyone stronger," the Threnody replied. Soon, human and Threnody scientists were collaborating on underwater research projects. The Threnody shared their knowledge of ocean environments, while humans contributed their exploration technology. Zek's people, the reptilian Draknari, were natural traders who traveled throughout the galaxy. Young Draknari traders began hearing stories about honest human merchants who paid fair prices and kept their promises. When a Draknari trading fleet had engine problems near human space, they were surprised to receive offers of help from human repair stations. The humans not only fixed their ships but also offered them better trade routes. "Why do you help us?" asked the Draknari fleet captain. "We are competitors." "A friend of ours learned from a Draknari that competition can become cooperation," replied the human station manager. "If we help each other, we all do better business." The Draknari captain had heard this story before. Young traders often talked about Zek, who had become friends with the human explorer. The captain decided to trust the humans. Within a year, Draknari and human merchants were working together regularly. The Draknari knew the best trade routes, while humans had goods that many species wanted. Together, they were more successful than either species had been alone. Jiwoo Park found herself busier than ever. More and more alien species were requesting diplomatic contact with humans. Each time she discovered the same pattern. Somewhere a human had helped an alien, or an alien had helped a human, and the story had spread. "It's remarkable," Jiwoo told her team during a briefing. "These friendships are creating a network of trust across the galaxy. All because your brother was kind to 3 aliens," her assistant noted. "Not just my brother," Jiwoo corrected. "Every human who chose friendship over fear every alien who did the same. She pulled up a star map showing areas where humans and aliens were cooperating. The network was growing larger every month. Back at their mining station, Veltar, Nox, and Zek met for their regular dinner together. They had been promoted again due to their success in interspecies relations. Their station was now a major hub for trade between multiple species. "Did you ever think saving one human would lead to all this?" Zek asked, gesturing at the busy station around them. "No," Veltar admitted. "But Tejo said something I remember. He said small acts of kindness can grow into big changes." "My people have a saying," Nox added. "One drop of water can start a great flood." "The flood is coming," Zek said thoughtfully. "More species are talking to each other now. Trade routes are opening. Scientific exchanges are happening. But some species still resist," Veltar pointed out. "The Vorthak hegemony doesn't like what they call mixing of species." The Vorthak were a militaristic empire that believed each species should stay separate and avoid contact with others. They had been watching the growing cooperation between humans and other species with growing anger. "They will try to stop this," Nox said, his skin turning worried colors. "Maybe," Zek replied. "But look how far we have come already. 5 years ago we were afraid to help one human. Now 3 species work together every day. And it's spreading," Veltar added. "Every successful cooperation makes the next one easier." They looked out the window at ships from 6 different species docked at their station. Humans, Calithians, Threnodi, Draknari, and others were working side by side, loading cargo and sharing meals. "Tejo would be proud," Nox said softly. "I think he knows," Veltar said. "Humans are natural communicators. The stories are reaching them too." Indeed, far away on a human colony world, Tejo had just finished reading a report about the growing interspecies cooperation. He smiled as he recognized the names of his 3 alien friends in the diplomatic files. "The seeds are growing," he said to himself, looking up at the stars. "I wonder how big this tree will become." He had no idea that he was about to find out. 8 years had passed since Tejo first met his alien friends. The small acts of cooperation had grown into something much larger. Trade routes connected dozens of worlds. Scientific research projects included multiple species. Diplomatic exchanges happened regularly. Tejo was now the colonial survey director for the human government. His job was to find suitable worlds for new colonies and make sure they could coexist peacefully with any aliens already in the area. His biggest success was New Terra, a colony world in the Kepler sector. What made New Terra special was that it wasn't just a human colony. Calithians had built underground mining facilities. Threnodi had established research stations in the planet's oceans. Draknari traders used it as a hub for their shipping routes. "This is what the galaxy could look like," Tejo told his assistant Minjun Oh, as they watched ships from 4 different species landing at the spaceport. Different peoples working together, sharing knowledge, building something better than any one species could create alone. Minjun was a military strategist who had been assigned to help plan the colony's defenses. But he found himself more interested in studying how the different species cooperated. "The integration is remarkable," Minjun said. "Human engineers work with Calithian miners to extract resources safely. Threnodi scientists share their data with human researchers. Draknari traders help everyone get supplies from across the galaxy. And everyone benefits," added So Young Choi, the colony's chief xenobiologist. She studied how different species could live together without harming each other's health or environment. New Terra had become a symbol of peaceful coexistence. Diplomats from many worlds visited to see how it worked. Young people from different species came to study together at the colony's university. But not everyone was happy about this growing cooperation. The Vorthak hegemony was a large military empire that controlled over 200 star systems. They believed that mixing species was dangerous and unnatural. Each species should stay in its own territory and avoid contact with others. For years, the hegemony had been watching the human-alien cooperation with growing anger. Their leader, War Master Kith, decided it was time to take action. Kith called a meeting of his military commanders aboard his flagship, a massive warship called the Iron Fist. "The contamination spreads," Kith announced to his officers. "Humans corrupt other species with their ideas of friendship and cooperation. They must be stopped before this disease infects the entire galaxy. "What are your orders, War Master?" asked Admiral Vex, commander of the Hegemony's Third Fleet. "We will make an example. The human colony called New Terra sits in territory we claim. We will demand they abandon it immediately." "And if they refuse?" another officer asked. "Then we will remove them by force. When other species see what happens to those who cooperate with humans, they will reconsider their choices." Kith studied a holographic display showing the Kepler sector. "Assemble 3 fleets. 300 ships should be enough to handle whatever defenses the humans have built." Meanwhile, on New Terra, life continued peacefully. Veltar had been appointed as the Calithian representative to the Colony Council. Nox served as head of the Interspecies Medical Center. Zek managed much of the trade that kept the colony supplied. The 3 friends met regularly for dinner, just as they had at the old mining station. Tonight, they were joined by their human colleagues from the colony administration. "Trade volume is up 30% this quarter," Zek reported, his scales showing satisfaction. "Having 4 species working together makes us much more efficient than single-species operations. The medical center has successfully treated patients from 12 different species," Nox added. "Each species' biology teaches us something new about healing. And our mining operations are producing rare elements that none of our species could extract alone," Veltar said. "Human creativity combined with Calithian engineering is very powerful." Tejo smiled as he listened to his friends. "When I first met you 3, I never imagined it would lead to something like this." "Neither did we," Veltar admitted. "But you taught us that taking risks for friendship can lead to great rewards." So Young looked thoughtful. "I've been studying the psychological effects of our mixed community. Species that live and work together develop better problem-solving abilities. The diversity of thinking approaches makes everyone smarter. That's why the hegemony fears us," Minjun said seriously. "They know that cooperation makes us stronger than isolation." "Have there been any new reports of hegemony activity in this sector?" Tejo asked. Minjun's expression grew concerned. "Their ships have been spotted near the sector boundary. Our intelligence suggests they're building up forces." "For what purpose?" Nox asked, his skin turning worried colors. "Unknown. But the hegemony has been vocal about their disapproval of interspecies cooperation. They call it species contamination." Zek's scales darkened with anger. "My people have traded with many species for centuries. We were never contaminated by friendship." "The hegemony doesn't see it that way," Minjun explained. "They believe each species should develop separately. Contact between species is considered harmful to racial purity." "That's foolish," Veltar said. "My people learned more in 8 years of working with humans than in decades of isolation." Over the following weeks, reports of hegemony ship movements became more frequent. Scout vessels appeared at the edge of the system, observed the colony, then jumped away. Military analysts detected signs of a large fleet assembling in hegemony space. Tejo called an emergency meeting of the Colony Council. Representatives from all 4 species gathered in the council chamber. "The situation is becoming serious," Tejo began. "Intelligence reports suggest the hegemony is planning some kind of action against New Terra." "What kind of action?" asked Commander Rix, the Calithian military representative. Minjun activated a holographic display showing ship movements. "Based on the force they're assembling, we believe they intend to demand our withdrawal from this system. If we refuse, they may attack." "This is our home now," said Dr. Nem, speaking for the Threnody community. "We have invested years building our research facilities. And I have trade agreements worth millions of credits," Zek added. "The Dreknari will not abandon profitable partnerships because the hegemony disapproves." "The question is whether we can defend ourselves," Veltar said practically. "How many ships do we have?" Minjun consulted his data pad. 30 human defense vessels, 12 Calithian patrol ships, 6 Threnody research vessels with basic weapons, and about 20 Dreknari traders with light armament. Total, roughly 70 ships. "And the hegemony?" "Intelligence estimates 300 warships." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. They were severely outnumbered. "We could evacuate," suggested one of the human counselors. "Save lives and rebuild elsewhere." "Run away?" Zek's scales flashed with indignation. That would prove the hegemony right. It would show that cooperation is weak. Zek is correct, Veltar said. If we abandon New Terra, other mixed communities will lose hope. The cooperation we've built across the galaxy could collapse. Nox's skin showed deep thought colors. But if we stay and fight, many will die. Is proving a point worth those lives? Tejo stood and walked to the large window overlooking the colony. Below he could see humans, Calithians, Threnodi, and Draknari working together in the streets and buildings. Children from different species played together in the parks. 8 years ago, 3 aliens risked their safety to save 1 human, he said without turning around. That single act of courage has grown into something beautiful. Now we face the same choice they did, play it safe or take a risk for something we believe in. He turned back to face the council. I won't order anyone to stay and fight, but I won't abandon what we've built here either. One by one, the representatives stood up. The Calithians will stay, Commander Rix announced. The Threnodi stand with our friends, Dr. Nem added. Draknari don't run from bullies, Zek said firmly. Min-Jun nodded. Then we prepare for war. I'll send messages to all our allied worlds asking for support. How long do we have? Tejo asked. Based on their fleet movements, maybe 2 weeks before they arrive. As the council members left to prepare their communities, Veltar, Nox, and Zek remained behind with Tejo. Are we doing the right thing? Nox asked quietly. I don't know, Tejo admitted. But I know that some things are worth fighting for. Your species has a saying, Veltar said. It is better to die standing than to live kneeling. Where did you learn that? Tejo asked, surprised. From you, 8 years ago. You said it when you were working on your ship. I never forgot it. Zek looked out the window at the peaceful colony. Whatever happens, we showed the galaxy that different species can live together in peace. And maybe that's enough, Nox added. Maybe the idea will survive even if we don't. But Tejo was thinking about the network of friendships that had grown from one simple rescue. Somewhere out there, humans and aliens who had learned to trust each other were receiving news of New Terra's danger. He wondered if friendship could be stronger than fear, if cooperation could overcome conquest. In 2 weeks, they would find out. The Vorthak hegemony fleet arrived exactly 2 weeks later, just as Min-Jun had predicted. 300 massive warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Terra system, their weapons powered and ready for battle. On the colony surface, evacuation sirens wailed as families rushed to underground shelters. The spaceport was chaos as civilian ships tried to escape before the fighting began. But most of the colonists chose to stay. This was their home, and they would not abandon it without a fight. Tejo stood in the colony's command center, watching the enemy fleet approach on the main display screen. The hegemony ships were enormous, each one larger than anything in the colony's defense fleet. Incoming transmission from the enemy flagship, reported Yunhee Kang. The communications officer. Put it on screen, Tejo ordered. The display filled with the image of War Master Kith, leader of the hegemony forces. He was a tall, imposing figure with gray skin and cold yellow eyes. His uniform was covered with medals from conquered worlds. I am War Master Kith of the Vorthak hegemony, the alien commander announced. This system is now under hegemony control. All humans must leave immediately. Other species may remain if they swear loyalty to the hegemony and abandon all contact with humans. Tejo stepped forward. I am Tejo Kim, Colonial Director of New Terra. This is a peaceful colony with people from many worlds. We have done nothing wrong. You exist, Kith replied coldly. Your presence corrupts other species with human ideas of cooperation and mixing. This contamination ends today. We won't abandon our home, Tejo said firmly. Kith's expression didn't change. Then you will be removed by force. You have 1 hour to reconsider. After that, my fleet will destroy every human ship and structure in this system. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in tense silence. Status report, Tejo asked calmly, though his heart was racing. Min-Jun consulted his displays. Our defense fleet is in position, 70 ships total. The enemy has 300, including several dreadnoughts. We're outgunned 5-1. Any response to our calls for help? Yunhee shook her head sadly. We've contacted every allied world, but the nearest human fleet is 3 weeks away. Some individual ships are coming, but they won't arrive in time. Veltar, Nox, and Zek had remained in the command center, despite offers to evacuate them to safety. They stood beside their human friends, ready to face whatever came next. Our governments have sent what ships they can, Veltar reported. 12 more Calithian vessels, 8 Threnodi research ships with emergency weapons, and 15 Draknari traders. That gives us about 100 ships, Minjun calculated. Still 3-to-1 odds against us. Zek's scales showed determination. Better than 5-to-1. It won't be enough, Nox said quietly, his skin pale with worry. Too many people will die. Teho walked to the window and looked out at the colony below. In the distance, he could see the ocean research stations where Threnodi scientists worked. Underground Calithian miners were probably still working, refusing to let fear stop them from doing their jobs. In the trading district, Draknari merchants were helping evacuate families instead of protecting their own cargo. Maybe we should surrender, one of the human officers suggested. Save lives. No, Teho said without turning around. If we give up now, the hegemony will attack every mixed colony in the galaxy. Other communities will think cooperation makes them weak. But if we fight and lose, the result is the same, the officer argued. Teho finally turned back to face his people. Not the same. If we fight, we show the galaxy that friendship is worth defending. Even if we lose, others will remember that we tried. As the hour deadline approached, the colony's defense fleet moved into battle formation. Human ships took point positions with their better weapons and armor. Calithian vessels used their superior maneuverability to guard the flanks. Threnodi ships stayed back to provide medical support. Draknari traders spread out to rescue any damaged vessels. 5 minutes until deadline, Yunhee announced. Teho activated the colony's emergency broadcast system. His voice reached every building, every ship, every person in the system. People of New Terra, he began. In a few minutes, we will face the greatest test of our community. The enemy wants us to believe that cooperation makes us weak. That different species cannot live together in peace, he paused, looking at his alien friend standing beside him. 8 years ago, I was a stranger who needed help. 3 aliens chose to save me, even though their people said humans were dangerous. That single act of kindness grew into the community we have today. Veltar stepped forward and activated his own communicator. This is Engineer Veltar. The human speaks truth. When we helped Teho, we learned that friendship makes us stronger, not weaker. Nox joined them. This is Dr. Nox. We have treated patients from 12 species here. When we work together, we heal better than any of us could alone. Zek added his voice. This is Trader Zek. Mixed crews trade more successfully than single-species ships. Cooperation brings prosperity. Teho continued the broadcast. Whatever happens today, remember this. We have proven that different peoples can live together in peace. That idea will survive even if we don't. Someday, the galaxy will be full of communities like ours. 1 minute to deadline, Yunhee called out. On the main screen, they could see the hegemony fleet moving into attack formation. The enemy ships were so large they blocked out the stars behind them. All ships, this is command, Minjun broadcast to the defense fleet. Remember, we're not just fighting for New Terra. We're fighting for every mixed community in the galaxy. Make every shot count. The deadline passed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the hegemony flagship opened fire. The first salvo of enemy weapons lit up space like a deadly fireworks display. The colony's shields flared as they absorbed the impact, but everyone knew they wouldn't last long against such overwhelming firepower. Return fire, Minjun ordered. The defense fleet responded with everything they had. Human ships launched missiles while Calithian vessels used their precise energy weapons. Even the lightly armed Threnodi and Draknari ships contributed what firepower they could, but it was clear from the beginning that they were hopelessly outmatched. For every hit they scored on the enemy, the hegemony ships destroyed 2 of theirs. Colony shields down to 60%, a technician reported. Hull breach on Defense Platform 3. Another added. Medical bay to all ships, Nox broadcast. Bring your wounded to the Threnodi hospital ships. We will treat everyone, no matter what species. The battle raged for an hour. The colonists fought bravely, but their ships were being destroyed faster than they could be replaced. The colony's shields failed and hegemony weapons began hitting the surface installations. Sir? Yunhee said quietly. We're receiving a message from the enemy flagship. Put it through, Taeho said, though he knew what it would be. War Master Kith appeared on screen again, but now his expression showed satisfaction instead of cold anger. Your resistance has been admirable but pointless, Kith said. You have lost half your ships. Surrender now and I will allow the survivors to evacuate safely. Taeho looked around the command center. His people were exhausted. Their equipment was failing, and outside the windows he could see fires burning in the colony. What do you say? He asked his friends. Beltar's antenna drooped with fatigue, but his voice was steady. We fight until we cannot fight anymore. The wounded need more time to evacuate, Nox added. We must give them that time. My ships are almost out of ammunition, Zek reported. But we still have ramming speed. Taeho turned back to the screen. We decline your offer, War Master. New Terra stands. Kith's expression hardened. Then you will all die for your foolish ideals. The transmission ended and the hegemony fleet prepared for a final assault. Their remaining ships formed a battle line, weapons charging for a coordinated attack that would overwhelm the colony's remaining defenses. All ships, this is command. Taeho broadcast. It has been an honor serving with you. Whatever happens, remember that we fought for something beautiful. The enemy fleet moved forward, weapons glowing with deadly energy, and then something impossible happened. Massive hyperspace signatures began appearing throughout the system. Not dozens of ships, not hundreds, but thousands. Ship after ship dropped out of hyperspace. Vessels from species that had never been seen in this sector before. Sir, Yunhee whispered, her voice filled with amazement. I'm reading over 2,000 ships from 47 different species. Taeho stared at the display in disbelief. That's impossible. We only called our immediate allies, but the ships kept coming, and then the communications channels exploded with messages. This is the Altarian Defense Force. We heard about the human colony that needs help. Zephyrian fleet responding to distress call. We stand with our friends. Nixari Expeditionary Force arriving. Cannot let cooperation die here. Species after species announced their presence. Some Taeho had never even heard of. And then finally a familiar voice came through the static. New Terra, this is Admiral Sungmin Park, commanding the Terra Defense Fleet. Sorry we're late. We brought some friends. Taeho felt tears in his eyes as he realized what was happening. The network of friendship that had started with one rescue had grown beyond anything he had imagined. Across the galaxy, the story of cooperation had spread from species to species, creating bonds that War Master Kith stared at his tactical display in complete shock. The screen showed thousands of ships from dozens of species surrounding his fleet. What had seemed like an easy victory moments ago had become an impossible situation. How many ships? He demanded. 2,137 vessels confirmed, his tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. More are still arriving. What species? 47 different ones, sir, including several we've never encountered before. Kith's mind raced. This was not possible. These species had no formal alliance. Many of them had never even met each other. How could they coordinate such a massive response? On New Terra, the command center had erupted in celebration. Officers were hugging each other, and even the normally reserved Veltar was dancing with his antenna waving wildly. How did they know? Taeho asked, still stunned by what he was seeing. Admiral Sungmin Park's voice came through the communications clearly now. Taeho, this is Sungmin. I'm Jiwoo's husband, and I command the Human Response Fleet. But honestly, we're just a small part of this. A new voice joined the channel. This is Captain Mordak of the Altarian Fleet. We came because we heard about the human who helped the mining station years ago. That story has spread throughout our space. Another voice added, Zephyrian Commander Telani here. Our traders work with humans and Draknari now. We could not let our partners face this alone. More voices joined in, each telling similar stories. A human had helped them, or their allies or friends of friends. The network of cooperation had grown far beyond what anyone realized. This is impossible, Zek whispered, his scales shimmering with amazement. I know some of these species. They live on the other side of the galaxy. Veltar was studying the ship identification scrolling across the display. Look at this. The Crystalline Collective. They never leave their home system. The Deep Void Swimmers. They live in empty space between stars. Even the Silent Watchers are here. Who are the Silent Watchers? Taeho asked. Ancient beings who observe but never interfere, Nox explained. If they're here, This moment must be very important to the galaxy's future. Captain Do-hyun Kim's voice came through the communications. He was Taeho's cousin and led a squadron of human fighters. Taeho, you should hear the stories these alien pilots are telling. Every species here has a tale about humans who helped them or their allies. It started with us, Veltar said quietly. Our story about you spread to other Calithians. They told other species they met. Each act of cooperation created more stories. And stories travel faster than ships, Zek added thoughtfully. Traders carry them from system to system. Diplomats share them in negotiations. Scientists exchange them at conferences. Taeho realized what had happened. The simple rescue 8 years ago had created ripple effects that spread across the entire galaxy. Each time a human helped an alien or an alien helped a human, the story grew. Each successful cooperation made the next one easier. Admiral Sung Min's voice cut through their wonder. War Master Kith, this is Admiral Park of the Terra Defense Fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned 6-1. Withdraw your forces immediately. The response came from the Hegemony flagship, but Kith's voice was no longer confident. This is impossible. These species have no formal alliance. They cannot coordinate such a response. You're right, Admiral Park replied. They have something better than a formal alliance. They have friendship. Captain Mordak of the Altarians added his voice. War Master, your empire rules through fear, but fear makes enemies. Friendship makes family. This is Commander Talani, the Zephyrian officer said. Your doctrine says species should stay separate, but cooperation makes us all stronger. One by one, commanders from different species added their voices. They didn't threaten Kith. They simply explained why they had come. Each story was different, but they all shared the same theme. Someone had chosen cooperation over conflict, and it had made their lives better. Kith found himself listening to tales of humans and aliens working together to solve problems that neither could handle alone. Research projects that required multiple types of thinking. Trade arrangements that benefited everyone involved. Colonies where different species lived together in peace. You don't understand, Kith finally said, his voice desperate. Species mixing leads to chaos. Each race must develop purely, without contamination from others. War Master, said a new voice that was deep and ancient. This is Observer Prime of the Silent Watchers. We have watched galaxy develop for million years. Species that cooperate grow stronger. Species that isolate grow weak and die. Even Kith knew about the Silent Watchers. They were older than most civilizations and had never before taken sides in any conflict. Your hegemony controls many worlds, Observer Prime continued, but worlds held by force always rebel. These beings gather here by choice. Which do you think is stronger? Kith looked at his tactical display again. His 300 ships were completely surrounded. Even if he could win a battle, which was doubtful, the political consequences would be catastrophic. Attacking this gathering would make enemies of 50 species at once. All ships stand down, Kith ordered quietly. Sir, his tactical officer asked in surprise. I said stand down. Power down weapons and withdraw to safe distance. In New Terra's command center, everyone held their breath as the Hegemony fleet pulled back from attack formation. War Master Kith, Admiral Park said formally. Do you withdraw your claim to the system? There was a long pause. Finally, Kith replied. The Hegemony withdraws, but this is not over. Someday your cooperation will fail and we will be waiting. Perhaps, Admiral Park said calmly, but today is not that day. The Hegemony fleet began jumping to hyperspace ship by ship until only empty space remained where they had been. As soon as the last enemy vessel disappeared, the Allied fleet erupted in celebration. Ships from 50 species lit up the darkness with celebration displays. Fireworks, light shows, and energy patterns painted the space around New Terra in brilliant colors. On the colony's surface, people poured out of the shelters and into the streets. Humans, Calithians, Threnodi, and Dragnari danced together as news of the victory spread. In the command center, Taeho finally allowed himself to believe they had won. He turned to his 3 alien friends who had stood beside him through everything. We did it, he said simply. No, Veltar corrected him. We all did it. Every being who chose friendship over fear. Communications were flooding in from the Allied fleet. Commanders wanted to meet. Diplomats were proposing new treaties, and scientists were suggesting research collaborations. Sir, Yoon-hee called out. We're receiving formal requests from 17 species to join what they're calling the Human Alliance. The Human Alliance? Taeho repeated. Admiral Sungmin's voice came through clearly. That's what the galactic media is calling it, though I notice most humans prefer to call it the Alliance of Friends. So Young Choi, who had been monitoring communications from the various species, looked up from her station. The economic implications are staggering. This alliance represents over 300 star systems. The trade possibilities alone. The scientific opportunities are even more exciting, Knox added. Imagine what we could discover with 47 different types of minds working together. Zek's scales were bright with excitement. The shipping routes we could establish, the cultural exchanges, the possibilities are endless. Minjun was studying the tactical data. From a military standpoint, this alliance would be the most powerful force in the galaxy. But it's held together by trust instead of fear. As the celebration continued around them, Taeho walked to the window overlooking the colony. In the distance, he could see repair crews from multiple species working together to fix the damage from the battle. Human engineers worked alongside Calithian miners. Threnodi medics treated wounded from all species. Draknari traders were already organizing relief supplies. Veltar joined him at the window. Do you remember what you said when you left our station 8 years ago?
What was that?
You said if we ever needed help, we should call you. You said humans don't forget their friends, Taeho smiled. I remember. Today, the entire galaxy called, Knox said, approaching with Zek, and the entire galaxy answered. Not just humans, Zek pointed out. Everyone who believed in cooperation. Admiral Sungmin's image appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from his flagship. Taeho, I wanted you to know. This fleet represents the largest voluntary gathering of species in galactic history, and it all started because you helped 3 aliens fix a mining station. And because 3 aliens chose to help 1 human, Taeho replied, looking at his friends. As the Allied fleet began organizing for departure, many ships requested permission to visit New Terra's surface. Diplomats wanted to see how the mixed colony worked. Scientists were curious about interspecies cooperation. Young beings from many worlds wanted to study at the colony's university. I think we're going to be very busy, So Young observed. Good, Taeho said. We have a lot to teach and even more to learn. Over the following days, formal alliance agreements were signed between dozens of species. Trade routes opened that would connect previously isolated worlds. Scientific research projects began,